Hello. My name is Andalavan, and here I want to talk about how to speedrun all upgrade discs. Because it's a blueprint speedrun, there's not really a rigid route. So a lot of it are more like strategies instead of like you need to do this or that. And this is a speedrun that I thoroughly enjoy, and I hope that you are interested in speedrunning it. It's a fun category. So, all upgrade discs. What is all upgrade discs? Well, the main objective is very obvious. Grab all 16 upgrade discs around the Mount Holly estate, which is plain and simple. Now, what I like about this is that it's a long category. There's also no room 46. It's one of the only categories that doesn't require room 46. Now, you do need to go to the underground and grab like specific uh uh specific floor plans or the upgrade disc. But in general, room 46 is not a requirement, and that includes pump room as well, which honestly makes this category fairly unique in its own right. Now, some things to note is that you are at the end of the run. You must show your statistics, specifically your upgrade discs, as you can see right here. Now, this is fairly important, especially when it comes to like the weirder strategies as well. This means that strategies such as getting upgrade disc from trading posts does not work. This also includes code check with the file cabinet key if you plan on doing a glitched run, which also does not work. You must legitimately collect the upgrade discs and deposit them into the terminal. And when you use duplicated discs by any metric, it won't be counted towards the library statistics. So, while these could be viable strategies, it's just not as viable as you might think. That being said, here are all of the 16 locations of upgrade discs scattered around, sorted in alphabetical order. You may note this that for two of the floor plans, Tomb and Trading Post, they both contain two upgrade discs, and I basically correspond the item that is associated with it. Note that I didn't like putting a there's no floor plan for the underground other than Tomb, so I basically throw in Tomb. You can get the upgrade disc through Pool and Basement Key, but it's terrible. So we're not doing that. Now, what when I'm talking about all upgrade discs, what defines like the routes? What is the biggest bottlenecks essentially? There are two major bottlenecks. The first bottleneck is vault. One of the most extremely annoying part about this run is that you're very reliant on an item called Vault Key 304. Vault Key 304 might seem like a regular Vault Key, but the issue with this key is that it needs to be this specific number. 149, 233, or 370, they do not unlock the upgrade disc in Vault. 149 and 233 unlocks allowance, and 370 unlocks Sanctum Key, which can be useful for a different upgrade discs, but in general, 304 is more important, and the fact that 304 is less common compared to the other three, makes this a very painful key to grab. The other bottleneck is not luck-based, but rather a big requirement, Mechanarium. Mechanarium has two difficult points. Grabbing the floor plan itself, which is requiring you to get it via the gear side, ideally through basement. And you must be able to get the upgrade disc, which requires you to get at most six mechanical rooms drafted. Now you can lower the lowest amount you need is 3, but the fact that it is very annoying to work with makes this quite difficult to achieve. Now, here are some notes about this strategy guide. 1, you need to be pretty familiar with the game. This is not, this is a V mode, and you also need to understand V mode as well. There is a TF Murphy Reddit post that we use. I'll go ahead and link that into the description. But essentially, you need to be familiar with the game. This is not going to be like, this is the safe code for the drawing room. You need to dig up this microchip here in Westpath, sort of thing. You really need to be familiar with the game. This is not a guide for that. And you also need to be familiar with V mode and understand how it changes dynamic rarity and how that affects your gameplay. And be familiar with how to activate V mode, especially for B quest runs. Next, you need to be adaptable to your situation. Sure, this guide is very helpful, but it's not going to be the overarching guide to your situation. Sometimes you might be very lucky. Sometimes you might be very unlucky. Sometimes your situation is so strange and niche that following this guide doesn't really help. For the most part, this guide aims to talk about some of the most likely encounters when you are doing all upgrade discs. And the strategies I propose might not be viable for all situations. So that's the most important part. Just try to adapt to your situation, and this guide is not like the Bible of all upgrade discs. Next, and finally, these strategies in the video can and will become obsolete. Strategies change. The game came out during May, and honestly, things can change. So don't just stick with one strategy, and try to be knowledgeable about different strategies and come up with your own. Who knows, you might discover something new. Now let's go to the introduction of day 1. Man, I love blueprints and it's puns. So, day 1. Obviously, you want Westpath, you want Gemstone Cavern, both requiring utility closets, all that sort of jazz, especially for longer runs. But both of these are pretty standard, but the best upgrade to get on day 1 is Blackbridge Grotto. The reason why is that terminals are extremely important. Sure, you can grab upgrade disc, but they're entirely useless if you don't have a terminal with you. This can be a problem if, for some reason, you run into a situation where you grabbed a very difficult to grab upgrade disc, but you have no place to deposit them, and you must call it a day and must retrieve it again. The locations of the terminals ranges in rarity and difficulty. We have laboratory, office, security, and shelter. These are your base floor plans that have terminals. But the best terminal, especially for all upgrade discs, is having Blackbridge Grotto, because you could just walk out of Mount Holly Mansion and go to the Blackbridge Grotto just to deposit your upgrade disc, and you don't need to rely on finding its security uh, while running around and praying you don't get locked out. So Blackbridge Grotto is amazing. It is the biggest insurance for your run. But before we talk about unlocking Blackbridge Grotto, we also need to talk about a different concept: duck draws. Duck draws are very interesting. If you may notice that when you're drafting, you may notice that you see furnace all the time, or maybe laundry room. Maybe you've seen some weird shenanigans on those fronts. That is because there is a in-game rarity change, or behind the scenes, the rarity of these rooms alters depending on whether or not you're in a duct room. According to TF Murphy, which is basically the backbone of everything related to blueprint speedrunning, even though he's not a speedrunner himself, we have duct draws. This is a little long post, but I'll highlight the most important ones. First one is, if the boiler room is not drafted or activated, the chance of a first duct draw is 25%. The next I want to bring you attention is the chance of the second and third duct draws are 30%, regardless the state of the boiler room. These two are very important because whenever you draw from a duct room, like passageway, for instance, which is a commonplace 2 gems, you have a high likelihood of drawing duct rooms that are either rare or unusual, and which can allow you to force more duct rooms and be able to easily connect your input, which is usually boiler, to your output of your choice. So as you can see, these two, furnace and archives, are duct rooms, which are more likely to show up. Note that topology also plays a role, so be mindful about where you are drafting. Now, I won't get too much into specifics. You can go ahead and pause the video and read more from here. You can go ahead and pause, especially the nuances with Electric Eel Aquarium. But this is the post from TF Murphy. Essentially, this is the duct draws, if you want to learn more. Now, day one. How is this going to be played out? Well, obviously, you want to aim for utility closets. Ideally, aim for utility closet on the east side. Since you want Gemstone Cavern, and you also need to get out to garage, which gets you west gate, which is very important because you are basically required to have 2 outer room floor plans for upgrade discs. And you want, after getting those upgrades, you want to get boiler room and laboratory just so that you can get Blackbridge Grotto. So outer rooms. This is something that's normally, like, for day 1 runs, especially, we just always go for tomb. But in day 1 for all upgrade discs, there's a lot more variety. So let's go ahead and talk about those, shall we? So one of the best ones is Schoolhouse. It advances the blue flames, but it makes drafting more difficult in getting Blackridge Grotto because now your deck is basically filled with classrooms, each costing a gem. Now, the reason why Schoolhouse is more preferred is because of its weird dynamic rarity, which just makes it a lot less likely to show up. Generally, I prefer Hovel for day ones, because if you have a Hovel, you can go ahead and be and try and force. You can make it a lot easier for yourself to connect the laboratory and boiler room. Both cost a gem, and passageway just is very expensive. So I ideally having Hovel is better, but Schoolhouse, if you have to choose between Schoolhouse and Hovel, the rarity of Schoolhouse, it makes it a lot better choice. But speaking of Hovel, that's the second best one. Again, it advances to blue flames, but it slots gems for steps, which is very helpful. I'm sure you have very little steps, particularly for day one. But when you have Hovel, you can basically waive your gems in favor of steps. And you will be forced to just go for it, essentially, if you're aiming for Blackridge Grotto. You probably spent all your gems on security, maybe passageway, maybe garage. You don't have a lot of gems, especially since Gemstone Caverns is not open on day one. So, generally speaking, Hovel is particularly useful. If you don't get either of these two, you can also get Shelter. A lot of the red rooms tend to have duct rooms. That includes Dark Room. You can shelter Dark Room even if Utility Closet is far away. I think you can see the floor plans if you shelter it. You can get archives. You can get weight room. You can protect yourself from a weight room, and also furnace, because furnace just really loves to show up from in general. So the issue for here is that you are gonna it's gonna be much more difficult to work with gems, but you're not doing like hopefully random guesses. Plus it has a terminal if you really need it. Next is Toolshed. So there's two very ideal ones to grab. Shovel, because it gets you microchip and conservatory, and Sledgehammer, which gives you a microchip. This is pretty useful later on, because Trading Post allows you to force card keys, coin purse, and Sledgehammer, which is particularly useful. And Conservatory as well. Conservatory, you should know how good it is, though due to its reliability issues, the fact that it randomly chooses 3 floor plans, it's back to differ. And the next one is Trading Post. It gets you +2 allowance, and maybe you can trade. Maybe if you have a Sledgehammer, you can. I kind of flip these two. It should be microchip to sledge. Oh wait, no. If you have a microchip, you can turn it to sledge, which gets you another microchip. And if you get car keys, you can go to garage, get an upgrade disc. Maybe security's still in play. It's not the most ideal. It's very fringe. And finally, you have Shrine, which uses pantry money. And these are getting fringe. I know high rolls are great, but it's three coins. It's very cheap. It's pantry money, but it's just these are starting to get less ideal. Now, let's go ahead and talk about upgrades. There are 15 rooms that are upgradable. Two of the upgrades of the 16 are spare rooms themselves. As you can see, a lot of these rooms vary in upgrades based on strength. Some rooms are more ideal than others, and I'll explain them in this presentation. But first, we need to talk about Borlium and Borlium Studios, because he is also a data miner. Talking about veteran player in terms of the chances of getting an upgrade for a specific floor plan. Your first upgrade will have a 1 in 16 chance, and the following upgrades will follow a weird path, essentially, in the choices of upgrading. Now, I have some issues. First of all, first upgrade, 1 in 16 chance of any upgrade. This is confusing because there are only 15 upgradable rooms as first upgrades. Spare room is upgraded twice, and it needs more specifications. Does the first, if I get spare room, was it a 2 in 16 chance, or is it equal probability? And if it is equal probability, isn't it supposed to be 1 in 50 chance? To be honest, this is one of the bit more questionable numbers, because this number is not particularly correct. But someone, Lorgan111 from the Blueprints Discord server, assumes that the chances a spare room is double that. So as you can see, they calculated the probabilities of basically the 15 rooms that can't be upgraded. You may notice that there is something is happening on your second upgrade, which is here. And you may notice, hang on, why is the probability statistics so strange? Well, that's because there's no equal probability of a particular upgrade after the first. You can see that once you finish your first upgrade, the probabilities completely scatter. There's a path the game follows in terms of upgrading, and so the likelihood of upgrading a specific room is drastically decreased. This is dependent on the first upgrade, by the way, but the likelihood of getting these upgrades during runs is very unlikely for Parlor and downwards, whereas rooms that are likely to upgrade along the path, Cloister, Nursery, Guest, and Mailroom, those are more likely to be upgraded because this game is weird. So rooms such as Aquarium and Spare are not particularly easy to upgrade. Regardless, let's just talk about the upgrades. What is the ideal upgrade? Since it's all upgrade disc run, we're depositing upgrade discs. We should also be rewarded with upgrade discs, with the upgraded rooms. So what is the best upgrades? So there are two upgraded floor plans that are best. The first one is spare room, and I do mean the default spare room, the first upgrade. You might be surprised about this. Why are we upgrading? Why is this the best upgrade? Well, remember when I talked about bottlenecks? Because Bear Hall has a very important item by random chance, the Vault Key 304. This can randomly spawn on a very convenient location on that table at the opposite end of the room upon entering. And it can get you the vault key by chance, and it's not a dead end. Compared to other places where you can get vault key 304, it is either requiring you to get a whole bunch of luck, it has a ridiculous requirement in order to be spawned in, or it's just dead end and unlikely to show up. Because spare room by default is a commonplace room, and it carries over to the upgraded version. This is definitely one of the best upgrades. Even the likelihood is not that high. Generally speaking, having Spare Hall upgraded to having the Spare Hall upgrade allows you to reliably have a good floor plan while also encountering the 304 vault key incidentally without being stopped by a dead end. Next is Nook. Obviously, there is one ideal upgrade. It's Breakfast Nook, one of the best upgrades in the game. No library Nook is reading Nook is not great. Anyways, Breakfast Nook is really good, especially for all upgrade discs because of Morning Room, which contains an upgrade disc. Every time you eat bacon and eggs, the Morning Room spawns floor plan is added to your drafting pool, and yeah, in general, and even if you already got the upgrade disc, having +2 gems for today and tomorrow is exquisite. Next, we'll move on to the helpful upgrades. Boudoir and guest bedroom. Obviously, it's a no-brainer. Get 2 dice. And next, aquarium and storeroom is actually pretty helpful. Now you might be surprised, but it's 10 gold for each of them. And the reason why is accumulating allowance is very slow. Your 2 reliable locations are the usual suspects, Trading Post and Cloister. Those are the easiest places to get allowance. The other locations are absolute just madness. There's one in Closed Exhibit, but it's not a great floor plan post day 1. There's one for tunnels, which, why? There's one for master bedroom, which has another ridiculous drafting condition in the east wing. And it's rarity does not help in spawning the master bedroom. There's a lost and found, but you'll encounter it later on, so it's tomb. You're not getting allowance through room 8 or the casino or jackhammer or through trading post because you want the upgrade disc instead for the trades, or laboratory experience is extremely slow and sidetracks you, so on and so forth, yada yada yada. I'm not going to go ahead and explain everything about why allowance is just so slow to accumulate, especially for a 2-hour run. So essentially having a different way to accumulate gold is particularly ideal. If by chance you already completed the purchasing tasks, you can choose Electric Eel Aquarium. This does make it easier for Mechanarium in particular, and maybe Blackbridge, but again, it's not particularly helpful, considering that Blackbridge is ideal getting for day 1. So, but it's particularly helpful for if you want to have another mechanical room, such that it makes it easier for you to get the upgrade disc. Now on to the good upgrades. Courtyard and Parlor is going to be additional gems. The other upgrades are not particularly great, so you can argue Familiar Parlor is good, assuming you have like Furnace archetype, which is weird. And Spare Hall, you can upgrade it to Spare Secret Passage, which is one of the best choices compared to Grey Hall and Foyer. Though people argue that Foyer is better, I disagree, because it allows you to force showroom, which ideally we want Emerald Bracelet to prepare for Mechanarium. And some keynotes is that this upgrade is not good if you still need the Vault Key 304, because Vault Key 304 can only spawn in the unupgraded Spare Hall. So it doesn't show up in the other it doesn't show up again if you upgraded the room to the second form. Now the unlucky upgrades. We'll speedrun through this. Billiard room. You choose Speakeasy because the other options suck. That includes break room. Cloister. You can either choose Cloister Milla, which can be helpful for forcing a Vault Key 304, but it's niche and wonky and requires you to get Dormitory to make it easier and keep it's just mess. Or Cloister of Rinna, which increases your luck, which can be helpful, I guess. Bunk room. Choose shops. It's ideally because also you do want more money. Closet. You can either choose hallway closet or empty closet. I do not care. The closet is not ideal to get as an upgrade. Hallway. You can lock trunk is best one. Mailroom is just no contact delivery. Mailroom is generally good. Its base rarity sucks though, so make what you will. Nursery, you can either choose to increase the step count for nursery, or choose indoor nursery if you're feeling very confident in your abilities to get more gems. I do not care which one you choose. I am starting to appreciate indoor nursery a lot more. Call me a crazy man, but those are the upgrades. Now, after you've done day one, let's talk about the early game. Chess power is particularly the one that's very important. So the goals is getting King of the Banner, which is very very useful, because there are rooms, especially the outer rooms, that are color coded, and potentially getting some upgrade discs along the way. So the routes is as follows. We want to get all the blue flames from Hovel Schoolhouse, and after that we want our chess pieces. Office is kind of forced because throne room is not particularly a good floor plan, and Her Ladyship's Chamber, while it might be quite weird to choose that, it has a queen piece, it has an upgrade disc, and it has dynamic rarity of commonplace on a specific time. Very useful. These are very useful for Brandon King, and also incidentally allows us to grab our upgrade discs. Again, as I noted before, some HLC or Her Ladyship's Chamber notes. It can have a Vault Key 304. And it has a dynamic rarity on commonplace on days 2 to 7. So it is very important that you try to aim for Her Ladyship's Chamber over study for your queen piece. Alternative routes for early game. So some early upgrade discs you can acquire. Garage is a particular easy one, might not seem like it. You want car keys, and you can easily force this if trading post if you have microchips. Microchips are tier 2 traits and can get you car keys with them, which makes it a lot easier to get garage. Next is commissary. You want to make sure that you draft if you have a sledgehammer and shovel, and ideal if you have like easy coins, so an upgraded storeroom, an upgraded aquarium, decent allowance, generally I think like 4, but generally if you have a sledge or shovel in your with you, you can aim for commissary as long you can go for commissary. Sledgehammer and shovel can show up together in tool shed or one or the other or none, and it's a lot easier if you have veranda luck, especially since these two items love to show up in green rooms, especially veranda, courtyard, patio, greenhouse, you name it. Also, this is discovered by TF Murphy. Thank you, TF Murphy. Next is archives, or more or less the bottleneck of patio. You want to draft patio if it's convenient, and if once you draft patio, you want to aim for shovel to get the final cabinet key. You can do this in the reverse. If you have a shovel already and you see patio, just go for it. Note that anytime once you shovel up the archives key, you don't need to shovel again if you weren't able to use the file cabinet key. Generally speaking, the issue is not necessarily getting the key to archives. Rather, it's just that patio is not a great floor plan in general. The drafting topology of patio sucks. It's west advance, east retreat, west east pierce, and it's kind of inconvenient, especially if you need keys, which is ideal if you want garage. Next, some backups. If you see tool shed as your outer room, you can get a gear wrench, which, according to TF Murphy, will set your dynamic rarity of workshop and boiler to standard, which is very useful, and especially since gear wrench can lower the base rarity for workshop. And trading post allows you to get +2 allowance if you didn't grab it already, and some trades. You can get yourself car key, sledgehammer, or coin purse. All of these are pretty useful for an upgrade disc run. If you have shrine, you can have high rollers, which is basically pantry money. It costs 3 coins in order to get this blessing. Or you could get the monk a blessing, which can be useful for getting your Vault 304. Her ladyships and walk-in closet are ideal. Now, if you have the 304 vault key, ideally you want to aim for either code check or vault. Code check in particular, you want to put it inside of a code check if it's not filled, but it can prevent like saving burning glass or some other item you want to save. But ideally, once you have the vault key, you want to aim for vault. Getting vault key 304 is painful enough. Getting 304 to vault is even more painful. Once you're able to do that, you can take a deep breath and be relieved that you never have to worry about vault ever again. Though you do need to deposit the vault's upgrade disc, so make what you will with that. Now, some code check priorities. Code check is probably the most pivotal room in all upgrade discs. So, but you might have to compete with items you've grabbed. So let's go ahead and take a look. Ideally, you want Vault 0. If you have Vault 04, you want to place it in there. Otherwise, you want Burning Glass, then Emerald Bracelet, Gear Wrench, if you haven't gotten the workshop to become commonplace, Shovel, and Sledgehammer. Shovel and Sledgehammer, just in case if you're struggling with Commissary. Note that all of these are circumstantial. Not circumstantial. Dependent on whether or not you got the upgrade discs. Burning Glass, if you have not gotten the Freezer, Tomb, or Trading Post Burning Glass upgrade disc. Emerald Bracelet is basically if you just need to trade it out. Gear Wrench, if you still need to dynamically change the rarity of Workshop, and Shovel and Sledgehammer for Commissary. Now on to the basements. It's the mid game. So as you can see, we have our two bottlenecks. We're gonna focus on Mechanarium. So in terms of the basements, there are multiple ways that involves Foundation, Basement Key, and Power Hammer. So you can if you have Power Hammer and Basement Key, you can skip the Foundation, drafting the Foundation. If you draft in a Foundation and a Power Hammer, you can skip the Basement Key. And if you have a Foundation Basement Key, you can skip the Power Hammer, depending on what two of these items you get. This can allow you to grab Mechanarium and Lost and Found, since essentially Lost and Found forces you to be in the basement, and since the basement is a gear side, which can get Mechanarium, that's big. It's basically the biggest chokehold of the speedrun. Now, on to the Power Hammer route. So once you have King Power, you want to go for blueprints, since both Attic and Workshop are blueprints. And you want to craft the Power Hammer as quickly as possible, which can be done easily as such. Just in case if you don't have it yet. This is one of the easiest ones compared to Foundation and Basement Key. Next one is Basement Key route. The best way is to go for hallways, and you want to draft Foyer, then Great Hall, which opens up the which has an antechamber lever that is the east side. Plus, it grants you an upgrade disc, which is very important for all upgrades. All upgrade discs. And generally, I recommend you go for Basement Key in general. Finally, Foundation. Just get lucky. That's all I could say. Foundation is extremely rare to come by, and I personally don't like that effect that it's permanent until you have Monk or the Propellant. I don't like this floor plan for this run because there are better options. If you place the Foundation at a difficult spot, especially in rank 4, it's terrible. You do need a shovel to get down there, and if you cannot make it to Foundation with a shovel, and you have to end the day, it makes it a lot more difficult for yourself. So I just generally don't really like to go for Foundation. Regardless, if you're forced to, you can. It's not my go-to. Now, if you don't have Burning Glass, ideally you should also aim for that. Again, you want to go for Banner Blue King. Of course, it gets Attic and Workshop, but also gets Code Check if you really need Code Check. Note that if you have vault key 304 in the code check, be mindful that vault is not included in the blue filter. So, yeah. Burning glass is very, very important because it allows you to accomplish 4 very useful goals. 1, raise the podium in the chapel, which unlocks the piggy bank, which basically allows you to get a lot of money out of it, depending on how much you give it money. I usually end my days, if I have chapel and a lot of money, just to like completely fill up the piggy bank, just so I could get prepared for an emerald bracelet later down the line. And of course, burning glass is very important for freezer, trading post, and tomb upgrade disc. They are all required. Now, something to note about trading post and tomb is that they have rewards as well. For trading post, you get 40 coins for that day, and tomb you get 4 ivory dice for that day, and 2 ivory dice for days on after. Now let's talk about Mechanarium. It's much easier with Emerald Bracelet, and which by holding the Emerald Bracelet allows you to get the Trading Post upgrade disc for the tier 5 trades. Now, 60 gold is the cost for getting the Emerald Bracelet. This requires you to draft Showroom, which is a little bit annoying, and technically, and very annoying. Now, finding money is a particularly difficult task. You're not relying on allowance, unfortunately, so you have to find some other method. Here are all methods. If you have money in you and you have 2 shops, you can drop bunk room to double it. This is a very situational room itself. Chapel, if you raise the tithe. Freezer, if you have a lot of money, you froze your assets, which can be very helpful. Goldfish aquarium, if you have king power, this room loves to show up every time you have king power. Office, if you have access to the terminal, you can spread gold, which I find actually particularly useful. If you are struggling to spread gold in the office, you can rely on Blackbridge Grotto and access it via a different terminal if you are allowed, if you have the permanent upgrade. Storeroom plus 10 gold is particularly fun. I'm particularly fond of. Tomb, every 5 dead ends, it increases the amount of gold, which is pretty good. Trading post can get you coin purse and burning glass, and the burning black glass for dynamite gets you 40 gold. Note that it is only given to you for that day that you blow up the dynamite. And finally, we have vault, 40 gold. What can I say? It's pretty useful, but very hefty in terms of gems. Now, finding the showroom. The showroom can be a bit annoying a little bit, but you can either choose shop rooms or hallways. Shop rooms does drain your gems a lot, and the likelihood of it showing up is not as particularly good, and it can mess up your day, essentially. Hallways, I think it's a lot better choice, since it's more likely to be drawn, while hallways with king power allows you to get secret passage, or if you have it already, spare secret passage. You can go for shops, and the likelihood of encountering a showroom is far higher, since it loves to show up there. Now, Mechanarium. So once you have everything prepared, you want to force blueprints with King Power. This assumes that you have the Emerald Bracelets, by the way. You want to aim to draft all 6 base mechanical rooms, or draft donuts. If you played Bingo before, you want to make sure that you draft like a donut, such that there is a 1x1 hole surrounded by different floor plans on the estate. To unlock the upgrade disc, it is in door 6, which excludes the entrance of Mechanarium. Now, in terms of mechanical rooms, here's a reminder of what these are. You have your usual suspects like utility closet, boiler room, security, pump room, workshop, laboratory. But you also have your other ones like electric eel aquarium or mechanarium, which mechanarium it will create a door. It's just that it will be creating the entrance door, so that doesn't count. And electric eel aquarium is basically based on your circumstances. Now, post mechanarium, you want to trade your Emerald Bracelet for the upgrade disc, but unfortunately, it's not guaranteed to be the right trade. Sometimes it gives you allowance, sometimes it gives you dice. If that's the case, you might be forced to restart your day. There is a bug, I think, where if they don't offer upgrade disc, you can close the interface and ask again, and maybe it gets you an upgrade disc. It has some weird bugs and jank that I'm not particularly familiar with. Now, some mechanary difficulties you will obviously encounter is that when you're doing blueprints, you have low rerolls. If you didn't have your boudoir upgrade or your guest bedroom upgrade. So drafting a study can be helpful a bit, but you're also going to be low on gems. Gems particularly are hard to come by, and no, trophy room does not count. Get out of here. But your gems are going to be eaten up a lot. Now, Blueprints has a low door count as well. The only 4-way path is Rotunda, which costs 3 gems, which is not ideal, and also very slow. And the other rooms that are T-shaped, aquarium, conference room, den. There are possibly another one that I'm forgetting, but those are the ones that brings up my drawing room. There's not a lot of 3-way rooms, pool, security. There's not a lot of doorways, unfortunately. A lot of doorways are either dead ends or a 2-doorway room. So be mindful of that. Now onto some of the backups with Showroom. For 20 coins, you get a Moon Pendant, which allows you to keep Emerald Bracelet without needing code check. This is much more quicker, especially with the inconsistencies with a trading post in terms of the luck involved in getting the upgrade disc trade. So again, I'm not too familiar with the glitch. So now onto the end game. It's just clean up, get the remaining upgrade discs. Now we have talked about a bunch of upgrade discs encountered during this strategy guide. So we'll be focusing on Lost and Found and Morning Room and Vault, though I messed up the animations. Lost and Found, very easy. Just go for Red Room King or Furnace, but avoid re-entering with its upgrade disc. Otherwise you lose it and you have to go for the next day. Next is Morning Room. It's breakfast nook or kitchen. And just dropping room. Its dynamic rarity is commonplace after you ate your bacon and eggs. So it's very easy, especially you're obviously going for breakfast nook anyways. Now the vaults. I don't know why animations. I copy and paste. That's why. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about vaults. So there are, in order to get the key, there are 6 locations that are, well, 4 viable locations. 2 of them are fringe. Religious chamber, walk-in closet, nursery, although I haven't encountered one yet, and spare hall. Trading post can get you, like, if you trade a lockpick and potentially it gets offered as a trade, though it can offer other the other vault keys, which is not ideal. Or you can combine Cloister and Milla, have a secret garden key in your inventory, and draft dormitory out of it, which can guarantee a spawn for a 3 or 4 vault key. But dormitory is bad in general, and it's annoying to drafting studios, and it's so strict in its routing that I don't recommend. Plus, close to Mila is also random. Who knew? And afterwards, finally, we go on to your verification. You want to go to the library, please just force it with Blueprints King. It's on the 2nd floor near the stairs, and you must say 16 for upgrade discs in the statistics. Ideally, you must show it during your run. Now, that's basically it for the speedrun in general. I want to make this as short and simple, but if you're not interested in the, if you're more interested in getting the strategies for the specific upgrades, individual upgrade discs, here you go. So again, there are 16 locations for the upgrade discs. Let's go ahead and speedrun all of them. Archives. Much easier with duck drafting. To draft with duck drafting, it requires file cabinet key from patio. Note that actions persist, so digging up the key or opening a file cabinet key will be saved, and you don't need to repeat these actions again later for later days. Note that this involves drafting patio. Patio is very annoying to draft. East advance, west retreat, or east. No, I got that reversed. Okay, this is wrong. It's supposed to be east retreat, west advance, and east west pierce. Sorry, this is a mistake on my hand. And of course you need a shovel to dig the patio key. Commissary. This one is a lot more complex. There are 7 predetermined sets, and according to TF, and that the game will spawn these. That the game will choose. Now, as you can see, you can pause, by the way, if you want to know what these are. Anyways, according to TF Murphy, a set cannot be offered if you have an item that is in the set. So, and an upgrade disc is offered if all 7 sets are invalid. Now, you can invalidate all of them if you have these combinations shown in the bullet points. These one is shovel and sledgehammer. These are green room items, or can be forced with tool shed or trading post. So these are generally more preferred. And if you are inching for something a lot more fringe, you can have a salt shaker from a dining room or walk-in closet and have running shoes with you. Not the ideal ones, but I guess the job done. Now, something to note is that there is discovered a duplication glitch with commissary upgrade disc. It was first brought up by Vectus because he encountered it during a speedrun marathon, which is very surprising. Though it has been occurring for some other community members as well. So this is the explanation from me, as I was trying to figure out how this glitch works. When you have the commissary upgrade disc, then you grabbed upgrade discs on the same day. Other upgrade discs on the same day. The last upgrade disc, if you deposit all of the upgrade disc, the last upgrade disc that you grabbed on the same day will respawn. So let's give you an example. If I get the archives upgrade disc, then the commissary upgrade disc, then the office upgrade disc, and the the freezer upgrade disc. If I deposit all of them on the same day, the upgrade disc will respawn is freezer because it was the last upgrade disc I grabbed, and thus it will respawn in the freezer because of this weird duplication glitch. Please note that when it comes to all upgrade discs, it's not a valid. It's not. You can do this strategy in all upgrade discs. It's just not going to count toward the final total in the library 66. Now I will link the description on this glitch. It's a little bit complicated. I try to do a thorough test, so I will go ahead and link that video here. Foundation. It is a random draft. And some things to note is that it cannot be drafted with silver key, as it will be excluded in the silver key pool, which is something to keep in mind if you're trying to attempt to get forced foundation. Ideally, it's better if you do library. Some things to note is that it's not great if you have foundation on rank 4 west side, because that is where garage should be, and makes it a lot more difficult to navigate around in. So you must unlock the elevator by accessing controls in the back, which is very annoying. Alternatively, you can use power hammer and basement key as shown in the slides for the routing in the mid-game section. Freezer. There are 3. It won't appear in the pool if you are frozen your assets the day before. So if you've frozen your assets, say on day 7, you won't see freezer again on day 8, unless it is monked or you thawed your assets and completely destroy your freezer. Regardless, there are 3 methods to bypass the ice wall, which holds the upgrade disc. It is burning glass, power hammer, and furnace. Some explanations with furnace. It needs to be close to freezer in order for it to work. Now, freezer is generally harder to draft compared to furnace, because furnace is a duck draft and freezer is not. And to make freezer likely is with chronograph, which doesn't really work well because it requires showroom, requires 30 coins, and it requires you to bear through the duck room. Well, not the dead end rooms, like mail room and trading post. But the furnace needs to be near freezer. But if you power your furnace, it will have an increased range, which can be quite helpful if you're attempting to melt freezer. Next is garage. The drafting conditions for garage is at ranks 4 or 8. It requires West Advance or West Pierce. It has a dynamic rarity, even though it's unusual, with a 90% chance on appearing. If you ignore garage, if it's one of your 3 options, the chances are drastically reduced on getting a garage again. So keep that in mind. Card keys can be obtained through the following. The easiest one is trading posts. As mentioned before, microchips are your best friends, but you can also trade your sledgehammer, your coin purse, I think your wind-up key for the card keys. but it can show up in many other places, so you don't need to rely on trading posts. It's in parlors, in billiard room, it's in guest bedroom, it's in gymnasium, it's in locked trunks, and so on and so forth. The locations of game card keys is basically endless. Great Hall. You can force drafting Great Hall through a secret passage, hallway king, constellation, or silver key. And the mechanics of Great Hall is particularly the mystery rooms themselves. Is that each of the left or right side contains one pathway, one reward room, and one dead end room. And reward rooms in particular does not show up in the middle path. It only shows up at the corners of the room. So the probabilities are as follows, each with 25%. It could be a pathway on the left and a reward right, pathway on the right, reward left, or pathway middle and the rewards at the left or right side. The strategy involves, if you don't have any hints, you open the left or right doors of one side first to figure out the other two doors. If you get the reward room as one of your corners, that's pretty good. But if you get a dead end, if you get a passage, you know where the reward room is after, and if you get a dead end, you know where the passageway and the reward room is. Because remember, reward rooms only spawn in corners. Now, some strategies to mitigate the risks of using keys. First is with metal detector. It detects if you try to listen for the beeps, and you can determine where you can find a reward room. But unfortunately, it doesn't work with upgrade discs or gems, so keep that in mind. Lockbit kit is also very helpful, especially a pick sound amplifier, which allows you to open as many doors as possible. Of course, you might get unlucky. Foyer is the most reliable. It opens up all of the doors, and you basically don't care about if you open a dead end or not. Every door is open, so that's pretty good. And finally, Drafting Studios can show you the layout of Great Hall, such that you can choose which door you want to open. Next is Her Ladyship's Chamber. It's drafted only by West Retreat, and has a dynamic rarity of commonplace only on days 2 to 7. If you are struggling with Her Ladyship's Chamber, you can also force it via secret passage. This bypasses the dynamic rarity checks and allows you to force Her Ladyship's Chamber, especially if you want Her Ladyship's Chamber on day 1. If you really wanted to. Lost and Found. This floor plan can be found in the basement and needs a shovel. Requires either basement key and foundation or power hammer. And it's generally a room where you just draft and you grab the upgrade disc, but you should avoid picking up the upgrade disc if you plan to re-enter. I do make this sort of mistake. Please don't learn from me. I accidentally pick up the upgrade disc a bit too early sometimes. And yeah, need shovel. Mechanarium requires accessing underground's gear side to obtain. So you don't. It doesn't require you to go through tomb side or minecart side. It requires you to access the gear side in order to be able to get the floor plan. You need between 3 and 6 mechanical rooms needed to access the upgrade disc. Some strategies revolve around drafting donuts to force the doors. Having rerolls makes it easier, just so that you can force in Mechanarium to draft in a specific spot. And Blueprints King makes this a whole lot easier. Some cautions noted that Mechanarium is not a dead end classified by the game, but it can be. So if you draft two dead ends and a underdeveloped Mechanarium, it can end your run. It ended my run. Mechanarium was a free dead end, and I drafted two other dead ends, which is annoying. Morning Room. Draft conditions is East Advance, West Retreat, and East-West Pierce. And it's not in the draft pool unless you have eaten bacon and eggs, according to T.F. Murphy. It's a 40% chance of spawning in bacon and eggs. Now, breakfast in the kitchen. But breakfast note is basically the all reliable. Now, you also can force it with Secret Passage, but it will require rerolls. You want to have Secret Passage in an ideal spot, such that you can force Secret Passage. Not Secret Passage, Morning Room, which does not require you to have bacon and eggs. Office. I don't need to explain. Tomb for candles. My stupid... Okay, what is happening with my... Okay, whatever. Tomb. My animations are broken. I wanted to be done with this presentation, to be honest, because it's getting very long, but anyways. Let's talk about Burning Glass by itself. You need a metal detector, which is easy to obtain with Green Room luck, and Magnifying Glass, on the other hand, is a lot more difficult. You need Parlor. It can spawn in Parlor, it can spawn in Library, it can be Commissary, which is luck-based and requires 4 gold, which is not too hard to come by. And it needs trading, or you can do it via Trading Post, which does require a tier 1. Now, now it does require a workshop. You can have it have a dynamic rarity of standard if you have a gear wrench with you, and you can make it commonplace. Now, some additional rewards. Once you unlock the upgrade disc room, you get +4 dice for today and +2 dice afterwards. And because you're carrying the Burning Glass, you can also unlock the tomb where Lady Epston's coffin is located, and do the Morajai box puzzle, which allows you to get +2 allowance. Now, the underground. Solve the tomb effigy puzzle and allows you to gain access to the torch room, which has the upgrade disc. You can pause and copy the routes. Just basically, you should already know this by now. But it also can be obtained via draining the fountain and basement key. But this is a lot more work, and draining the fountain is kind of annoying. Trading Post Dynamite. You need Burning Glass again. Metal Detector easy with Green Room, Magnifying Glass, Parlor, Library, Commissary, Trading Post Tier 1 trades, Workshop, Dynamic Rarity. You need, with a Gear Wrench, it's much more helpful because it makes it standard, yada yada yada, and additional rewards. You get +40 coins for today, and I didn't mention this, but you can also refill your watering can, which is very fringe. 40 coins can be very helpful if you're aiming for other coin tasks as well. So, but because of the fact that it only appears for the same day you blew up the dynamite, it can be quite difficult to work with. Finally, the tier 5 trades. Here are the list of the tier 5 trades. You have Master Key, Emerald Bracelet, Ornate Compass, Sanctum Key, and Cursed Effigy. Sanctum Key is pretty reliable, and showroom items can also be a bit reliable. Cursed Effigy is crazy if you're really, really crazy. Generally speaking, the best method in getting this upgrade disc is through Throne Room, actually. Throne Room contains a Sanctum Key, and it just spawns in after drafting. Using this Sanctum Key can allow you to allows you to force in the upgrade discs in Trading Post. Granted, taking advantage of the bug that allows you to get multiple upgrade discs, but of course it's not guaranteed. You need to do some other shenanigans. Now here's the post by TF Murphy. As you can see here, a bunch of nuances when it comes to the Trading Post upgrade disc. It's 45% chance on getting the upgrade disc offer. I think, yeah, 45% chance of normal offer, 45% chance of allowance, and 10% dice. Anyways, blah blah blah. There's a bug with the upgrade disc. You can go ahead and read it for yourself. Otherwise it will take the entire video. So I'll link the TF Murphy post for Trading Post mechanics. Link in the description. And finally, the vault. Requires vault key 304, and there are 4 viable locations that you can get it. That is Her Ladyship's Chamber, Walk-in Closet, Nursery, and Spare Hall. These have different chances. I did not measure it for Nursery, but it requires more testing because it's being polluted with other rooms that can spawn the items inside of them. The chances of Her Ladyship's Chamber is 1 in 15, Walk-in Closet is 1 in 10, and Spare Hall is 1 in 15, but it requires more testing, so take this with a grain of salt. The chances of getting the vault key 304 are very unlikely and very annoying to come by, so I don't blame you if you get frustrated with vault. Some drafting notes about vault itself. It's not part of the blueprints filter if you're using Blueprints King. So even if you have vault key 304, you have code check inside, and you can do blueprints, chances are it's not going to show up. Unfortunate. And if you're using berries, you must have at least 2 gems, allowing it to spawn in much more easily. I do recommend that you use the berries in the manor at 3 of the 4 corners, because the likelihood of it spawning there is much more greater. And you also get additional rewards if you use the vault key 304 key with plus 3 gems for today. So it's just a rebate. Now we are done. I want to give credits to where it's due. TF Murphy is particularly the biggest data miner that we reference a lot. We thank them for decompiling the game and data mining the game and figuring out its inner mechanics. There's a whole lot of things. I'll go ahead and link his profile and his posts for blueprints on basically the the stuff about he found with the game. I want to also thank the Blueprint Speedrun community. They've been quite amazing. And I will recommend, if you enjoy watching this video, you can go check it out. I find Blueprint speedrunning to be pretty fun, but if you're not interested in speedrunning, we have Bingo and BQuest Bingo as well. Checks Quest. There's a whole bunch of things you can do with blueprints, and there's more you can do. I have some ideas on some fun ideas as well when it comes to doing challenge runs. But yeah, that's the end of me.